David Icke explains politicians' penchants, proclivities, preferences, predilections, and propensities for illegal, immoral, and inherently incomprehensible paraphilias.
This is why pedophilia is rampant among the political classes. This is what the Satanist confession said as well, that Australian guy. Politicians are introduced by a carefully graded set of criteria and situations that enable them to accept that their victims, children, will be our little secret. Young children sexually molested and physically abused by politicians worldwide are quickly used as sacrifices. In Australia, the bodies are hardly ever discovered, for Australia is still a wilderness. In countries that are not a wilderness, they control the mortuaries and the crematoria where they get rid of children who they want rid of because of what's happened. And it is rampant. I keep using that word, but it is. People don't realize. What happens is people think or relate the number of children that go missing every year to the number of times we see a story on the news that a child is missing and everyone's trying to find them. That is the tiniest tip of the iceberg. Hundreds of thousands of children go missing in America every year. I've rung the states, because they don't have federal figures, tell you how many cars went missing federally, but not children. They said, you've got to ring the states. I rung a load of states years ago now. I said, how many children go missing every year? How many children went missing last year? And I added the figures up. What? Never seen this on the news, hundreds of thousands. Some of them are found, some of them have explanations. Not all, nothing like. And what happens is that you have the cover-up. There are so many stories where the story of this Satanism and this child abuse starts to come to light, and immediately the lid goes on because the system controls the various aspects that can keep the lid on. This is just one example. There's endless numbers around the world. The Franklin cover-up. It was an investigation by this guy, John W. DeCamp, who was former state senator in Nebraska, and he started investigating this guy, Lawrence King, a major Republican who sang the American national anthem in 1984 and 1988, I think it was, at the Republican convention. And he was investigating him for financial fraud through an organization called the Franklin Savings and Loans. But then he discovered that he's running a pedophile ring and providing children for the biggest names in America. And he wrote this book, The Franklin Cover-Up, Child Abuse, Satanism, again, they go together all the time, and murder in Nebraska. And what happened? Some of it got into this Washington Times, a mainstream newspaper, the connection to the Reagan-Bush administration, but most of it was totally covered up. I've been writing in my books now since 1998 that Father George Bush is a notorious pedophile, child torturer, child killer, and serial killer of adults as well. Said it on American radio. Still waiting for a response. And this is one example. A lady who became a friend of mine, Kathy O'Brien, who was in the American government mind control project since she was a kid. And met her many times. She still corresponds with me now and again. And I've met a daughter that she was talking about. Lovely, lovely girl. Totally shattered by these people. And that's one example of millions and millions that are going on around the world. And this is what she said in a book, Transformation of America. Kelly's bleeding rectum was but one of many physical indicators of George Bush's pedophile perversions. I have overheard him speak blatantly of his sexual abuse of her on many occasions. He used this and threats to her life to pull my strings and control me. The psychological ramifications of being raped by a pedophile president are mind-shattering enough, but reportedly Bush further reinforced the traumas to Kelly's mind with sophisticated NASA electronic and drug mind control devices. Bush also instilled the "who you're gonna call and I'll be watching you" binds on Kelly, further reinforcing her state of helplessness. The systematic tortures and trauma that I endured as a child now seem trite by comparison. They're not. I know what she went through. To the brutal physical and psychological devastation that George Bush inflicted on my daughter. And that's just one of these people involving one of the victims of this. It's incredible, the scale of it, and it's going on in this country. And what happens? The wall goes up. This is what DeCamp found. Suddenly ranks are pulled in, and the media won't touch it, the social services won't touch it, the police won't touch it, politicians won't touch it. It's the blueprint, it's how it works. And the Discovery Channel program, produced by Yorkshire Television, was about to go to air, exposing that Franklin cover-up and the pedophile connections. Bingo, it was censored and pulled just before it was going to air. Never to see the light of day, although you can get it on the internet, because one copy survived. I was naming this guy, like I said earlier, Ted Heath, as a pedophile and child murderer from 1998. This guy's record of killing children is extraordinary. Prime Minister of this country. This fella, Thomas Hamilton, the man who went into Dunblane Primary School and killed 16 children and a teacher, he was a procurer of children for the Scottish political elite, which locks into the Westminster political elite, and the satanic rings that lock into both. That's why they took the records of this case and ordered them to be locked away for 100 years. And then, if you've been following my website recently, and many other websites too, here you have the classic blueprint again. Everywhere you go, same blueprint. This girl, Holly Gregg, Down syndrome girl, her mother, Anne, and Robert Greene, a fantastic guy who's been helping them and committed so much of himself to this. When she started, Holly started saying what had happened to her, being raped and abused by the Scottish elite, suddenly the wall went up again. And Robert was arrested. He's been treated appallingly by the police, the Grampian police in Scotland. Grampian area of Scotland, by the way, notorious for Satanism. And he's now basically been told what he can't say, and he can't name people and all the rest of it, and he's, the case is ongoing. The media won't touch it, though maybe that might be changing, we hope. The Scottish law network or establishment will not investigate it. The police won't investigate it properly. Anne's brother, Holly's uncle, was blatantly murdered when he had seen Holly's father abusing her, and therefore had the ability to tell the truth and tell the story. He ended up murdered, and a cover story of suicide. When you see the story, suicide, are you kidding, was put together by the Grampian police. And Robert Greene is a man who, if there were more of his like in this world, then this world would be a very much better place. And Robert's actually here today, so thank you, Robert, very much for all you're doing. This is how they create the wall. You have again the pyramid system. Social services is a pyramid, a hierarchical pyramid. The police is, lawyers are, judges are, politicians are, the media are, all of it. The medical side, the doctors, the coroner's offices, they're all part of these structures. And up here, they all eventually fuse into the same group, the same ring of people, controlling force. And what they do is they put in these pyramids people in the positions of power who are in the ring, or in the club. You do not have to control everybody in social services to stop investigations or to enforce investigations to take children away for no good reason. You just have to control the level of social services that makes those decisions. And of course, once you're in a position in these pyramids where you are hiring and firing, what you do is you hire people of like mind, and after a period of time, then a lot of these people are in these organizations at different levels. You don't have to control every policeman. There's so many genuine policemen in this world, but they don't get into the positions of power overwhelmingly. The geese guys do. And therefore, they dictate whether something's investigated or not, or whether someone is targeted to pin them with a charge that is completely unjustifiable. Same with the media. You control that. We're not covering that story. Politicians, oh no, I'm not talking about that. I'm not investigating that. Oh no. This is how it's done. This is David Berkowitz, the son of Sam, multiple killer in New York, who from prison after he was convicted said that he did it, yes, but he was part of a satanic ring that was with him. And he said this, quite rightly: Satanists are peculiar people. They aren't ignorant peasants or semi-literate natives. Rather, their ranks are filled with doctors, lawyers, businessmen, and basically highly responsible citizens. They are not a careless group who are apt to make mistakes, but they are secretive and bonded together, the cement, by a common need and desire to mete out havoc on society. It was Aleister Crowley who said, "I want blasphemy, murder, rape, revolution, anything bad." And now we're having around the world, not least in this country, but America too and other countries, we're having the state stealing our children on the most extraordinary scale with the most extraordinary excuses. There was one lady who came to light, not many do compared with the ones that are going on, because of the secret family courts where this stuff goes on in secret and can't be reported. Or they say, oh, it's to protect the children. No! It's to protect the pedophiles and the Satanists. That's what the secrecy is for. And this lady, her and her husband had spent £38,000 on fertility treatment so they could have children. She had twins, I think it was twins, and she made a joke when social services came round, when the baby came out of hospital, and she said, oh, birth has ruined my figure. They took her children away. And then when she furiously resisted, they said, the mother has anger problems, which are a danger to the child. It's unbelievable the number of children that have been taken away from their parents for no reason. This guy, Tim Yeo, a Conservative MP, just before the last election, said in Parliament, using parliamentary privilege, he accused his local council of kidnapping a 9-week-old baby from parents. But it's the tip of an iceberg, and a gathering iceberg. All over the world, like I say in the book, I've looked at America as well, it's happening there. And what did Aldous Huxley, the Fabian prophet in Brave New World, talk about? The fact that children were going to be taken away from parents, parents were going to become no longer, not even relevant, they're no longer even part of society, and the state was going to take control and bring up all children. And that is where they're moving towards. And this guy, Ed Balls, my God, whoever named him was psychic. He was children's minister up to the last recent election, overseeing, taking more and more power away from parents, giving it to schools and authorities. And this guy is a former chairman of the executive of the Fabian Society and still a leading light in it.
Please subscribe to our backup channel, Whirlwind Revolt. Listen to chapters from my new book, Work in Progress, by the same title. The link is in the description section.